So the questions are, good morning, I'm a medicine, we say medicine in Portuguese, student, and I'm taking class of thanatology. I think thanatology is something related to death.
Related to what?
To corpses.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah. We don't have I don't know in Portuguese this discipline thanatology, but thanatos is the principle of death, right? So I'm supposing this.
So you work with dead bodies. Wow. That's
dead bodies. Yeah, I'm related to this. So if you I would like to make a question for you, someone that belongs to an Hinduist religion. So what is life in your religion? What is death? And how do you live the duelo? Oh, this word I need to translate. Wait, duelo. Oh, Rajaras. Rasaraj, do you know? Sorry. What is duelo?
Yeah, I speak Spanish. Send the word in the chat. I will.
Okay.
What is life in your religion? What is death? Como viven el duelo? What is duelo?
Duelo. Yeah, como es la vida en el duelo.
Duelo is like after somebody died, that the family mourn the person. It's a mourning.
Mourning.
Yeah. That's what it means. So what the bodies do for mourning when somebody in the family died.
I see. I understand. So this is very interesting because his work is, he's like facing death every day. So very interesting. So what is life? What is death? And how do you mourn? How do you mourn people? Okay, very nice. I love it. These are like the real questions. It's very interesting to live that type of work, right? It keeps you like, you can't get caught up with the fantasy of, enjoying a perfect life in this world. Every day you have to face the other side, right? So very interesting. Okay, well, thank you, Sam. Muchas gracias, Sam, por sus preguntas. So maybe can someone translate into Spanish? Rasaraj Prabhu, could you translate into Spanish so he can also follow? We'll have a Spanish special. I hope that's okay for everyone. Is that okay, Rasaraj Prabhu? Oh, Ananga Krishna also just joined us. Wow.
Krishna Mohini also speaks Spanish.
Krishna Mohini's here too. Dhanavad. So who's going to be our translator? Prabhu, you're happy to translate, Rasaraj?
Sure, I will do it.
Okay. So first of all, these are very nice questions because normally there's a kind of collective denial that surrounds death.
Okay. Es una buena pregunta y normalmente en la vida normal nosotros tratamos de no usar o no pensar mucho cuando la persona se muere.
No, I'm saying like there's denial. Is that what you said? Like normally we live in this kind of denial, like people don't want to think about, they avoid thinking about it.
Así que trata de evitar de pensar acerca de la muerte.
No, like it is mentioned in the Mahabharata, there's this famous occasion in the Mahabharata where the Lord of Death, God of Death, he asks many questions to test somebody. And one of the questions is, what is the greatest miracle?
Hay una historia en el Mahabharata cuando el Señor de la Muerte, Yamaraj, hace unas preguntas importantes y una de ellas es ¿qué es lo más importante que ocurre en este mundo?
And the correct answer was that every day people are entering into the temple of death. But everyone who remains behind, they're thinking it won't happen to me.
Y la respuesta es que en cada momento las personas están muriendo, pero siempre pensamos que a mí no me va a tocar, que no voy a ser el próximo.
Yeah. So it is a very funny, it's a very strange thing. You know, we see it in front of us all the time, but we like to close our eyes to it.
Es bastante interesante que nosotros vemos con nuestros ojos cómo la gente va muriendo, pero cuando tratamos el tema, tratamos de taparnos los ojos y no queremos verlo.
Can you close the door? So okay, let's not lose too much time with a long introduction. We'll go straight to the questions. What is life in your religion? ¿Qué es la vida en su religión? Well, there are two ways to answer that question. No, we could answer in a, you know, there because, you know, our Gurudev, he used the expression a living life. You know? So then we can understand there's a dead kind of life and there's a living kind of life.
Que para la primera pregunta de qué nuestro concepto acerca de la vida, de nuestro Gurudeva Srila Govinda Maharaj dice que hay una vida que es, ¿cómo se diría?
Living life. Does that work in Spanish?
Como una vida activa, donde la persona se dedica a la vida espiritual. Es algo así.
And then there's also a dead kind of life.
Y también hay otra parte que es la vida, pero es como si estuviera muriendo. No está haciendo nada activo en la vida espiritual. Está como muerto para la vida espiritual.
You see, because at present we are identifying with our physical bodies and physical experience.
Porque en el presente nosotros estamos identificados con nuestro cuerpo y pensamos que eso es todo lo que existe.
We are identifying with this physical world and physical experience.
Estamos identificados con este mundo material y con las experiencias del mundo, del tipo de vista material.
But we are actually spirit.
En realidad nosotros somos almas, espíritu.
We are eternal spiritual souls, conscious souls.
Nosotros somos eternamente, somos almas conscientes.
You know, it is mentioned in the scriptures of India that the nature of the soul is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means it is eternal, Chit, it is conscious, and Ananda, it is inherently blissful, joyful.
En la escritura se menciona que la naturaleza del alma es Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat significa consciente, Sat significa existente, Chit significa consciente y Ananda significa de una bienaventuranza espiritual, eternamente.
Yeah. So, but the physical body is temporary, right?
Pero el cuerpo material es temporal. En cambio, el alma es eterna.
So when we are living in this world and identifying with the body, that is like a dead kind of life.
Por eso cuando estamos viviendo en este mundo material y nos identificamos con el cuerpo, eso significa como una vida estando muerto. Nos identificamos con algo que no es nuestro ser.
Because the body is just like a cover, just like when you get inside of a car, you are inside of the car, you are not the car is a cover.
En realidad, nosotros estamos dentro de este cuerpo y el cuerpo es como una cobertura. De la misma manera que cuando una persona entra en un carro, el conductor no es el carro, sino simplemente está dentro del carro.
So real life, a real life means that we are living in connection with the eternal part of ourselves, with the soul.
Entonces, lo que es la vida espiritual, la vida real, significa que nosotros estamos conscientes de que no somos el cuerpo, sino el alma, que está dentro de ese cuerpo.
And so our spiritual practice is to help us awaken in the plane of soul. As we are soul, there is a world of soul, of spirit.
Y así nuestra práctica espiritual es tratar de recordar o de darnos cuenta de que nosotros somos el alma espiritual y tratar de hacer actividades de ese punto de vista para despertar a ese tipo de mundo espiritual donde pertenecemos.
And this human life is considered to be a rare opportunity.
Y esta forma humana de vida es como una buena oportunidad para despertar ese conocimiento espiritual.
The purpose of this human life is to realize our spiritual nature, our eternal nature.
La verdadera utilidad de este cuerpo humano es de tratar de recordar nuestra verdadera existencia como espíritu.
You know, according to the Vedas of India, we've moved through many different births, animal births, plant births.
De acuerdo a los Vedas, nosotros estamos transmigrando por diferentes tipos de cuerpos de plantas, de animales, cuerpos humanos.
And in these other births, our consciousness is not so developed, so we don't have the capacity to practice spiritual life and to raise our consciousness.
Y cuando nosotros tenemos ese otro tipo de cuerpo que no es humano, cuerpo de animales o plantas, es muy difícil tratar de despertar este conocimiento espiritual.
So it is a rare opportunity to have this human form of life. We must use it. We must take advantage of this, not waste it.
En realidad es muy valioso tener este tipo de cuerpo humano porque no lo debemos desperdiciar porque es la única forma que podemos despertar esta conciencia espiritual.
So that's my answer for that first question. And the second question, what is death? ¿Qué es la muerte? Death is I think my first question kind of answered the second, my first answer answers also the second question, but death does not pertain to the soul. There is no death for the soul. Death is only for this temporary physical body.
Esa fue la respuesta a la primera pregunta. Ahora, para la segunda pregunta de qué es la muerte, prácticamente fue respondida en la primera. La muerte solamente corresponde con la identificación del cuerpo, no con el alma.
This world exists for souls who have desires for material enjoyment, for selfish enjoyment.
Esta existencia material está destinada para aquellas almas que están identificadas con el disfrute y la identificación del cuerpo.
For souls who have selfish desires, that is what this world exists for.
Este mundo existe para aquellos que tenemos apegos materiales por disfrutar en el mundo material.
And I'm sorry, actually, the translate, would you mind, and Ananga Krishna, it's just because it's difficult sometimes for me with translation to keep the focus, but Ananga Krishna, we are very accustomed, he often translates for me. Ananga Krishna, are you able to translate now? Or are you, maybe he's at work or something? He's not. Ananga Krishna, are you?
Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Vishakha.
Are you?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. Thank you, Rasaveshu. Just because Ananga and I, we often work together, so I think it will flow better, easier for me. I get distracted. So okay, so then the second question is, what is death?
La segunda pregunta es, ¿qué es la muerte?
So death does not exist for the soul, the true aspect of ourselves.
La muerte no existe para el alma, que es el verdadero aspecto de nosotros.
Death is only pertaining to, death is only relevant for the material body, for the physical body, our temporary self.
La muerte solamente tiene relación con el cuerpo, con nuestro aspecto temporal.
This material world exists for souls who have selfish desires.
Este mundo material existe para las almas que tienen deseos personales.
And this body is like a spacesuit that allows us to navigate this material environment.
Y este cuerpo material es como un traje para navegar en este mundo material.
No, just like if we go to outer space, we cannot survive there because we don't have the right faculties to live, to breathe in outer space.
Es como si tenemos que ir al mundo exterior, al espacio, no pudiéramos sobrevivir con este cuerpo, necesitaríamos un traje que estuviera diseñado para ese ambiente.
So also, because we are spirit souls, we can't do anything in this material environment. They're two different, categorically different things, matter and spirit.
Así, igual como nosotros como entidades espirituales no pudiéramos navegar en este mundo material, necesitamos un traje para este ambiente.
So then we have these bodies which allow us to contact this material plane and enjoy the things of this material plane.
Así que tenemos estos cuerpos para poder tener contacto con este mundo material en los diferentes planos de este mundo material.
And this spacesuit has a lifespan. This spacesuit has an expiry date. It only lasts for so long.
Y este traje tiene fecha de caducidad, no es para siempre. Para el mundo.
But this is not the case for the soul, our true self. The soul is eternal.
Pero esa no es una verdad para el alma. El alma es eterna.
And then, so what happens at death is that we have our gross physical material body, but there's also a subtle material body.
¿Y qué pasa en el momento de la muerte? Que tenemos un cuerpo burdo, que es el cuerpo físico, pero también tenemos un cuerpo sutil, que es el cuerpo mental.
So the Vedas, they describe that there are 8 material elements, 8 material ingredients.
Así que en los Vedas se describe que hay 8 elementos materiales principales.
No, 5 gross and 3 subtle.
5 burdos y 3 sutiles.
Oh, so earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are the gross elements.
Así que tierra, agua, fuego, aire, éter son los elementos burdos.
And then the mind, the intellect, and the ego, they constitute the 3 subtle material elements.
Y después la mente, la inteligencia y el ego falso son parte de los 3 elementos sutiles.
So when this body dies, then we carry into our next birth the subtle body.
Así que cuando este cuerpo perece, muere, nos llevamos el otro cuerpo sutil, la mente.
When we act in selfish ways, then we create karma for future births.
Así que cuando actuamos con una mentalidad individual, uno genera karma para los siguientes nacimientos.
So according to how we act in these lives, we are creating our future lives, our future births.
Así que de acuerdo en cómo actuemos en esta vida, estamos generando energía o experiencias para la siguiente vida.
And when we move on to the next birth, we will carry with us the mental plane, that subtle plane, the subtle body, material body.
Así que cuando pasemos de este cuerpo a otro, nos llevaremos todo lo relacionado con el cuerpo físico, con el cuerpo sutil, perdón, la mente, la inteligencia y eso.
But if we stop acting for selfish reasons, if we begin to act for the center, for a higher cause, then we will become free from karma and we won't need to move into another body. We will be liberated to the eternal spiritual world.
Así que si detenemos nuestras actividades con intereses personales, dejaremos de actuar en el plano del karma y vamos a actuar en el plano espiritual, actuando con el interés de Dios, ¿no? Del Señor, del centro, y así perdón.
So having a temporary physical body that dies, this is the price of selfish desires.
Así que tener este cuerpo material que muere es un resultado de nuestras actividades personales.
But if we give up our selfish life and we join the universal interest, then there will be no conception of death. We will transcend death.
Así que si dejamos de actuar con interés personal y nos sumamos a la corriente espiritual eterna, entonces superaremos la muerte.
And we will leave behind this physical plane and we will enter the eternal spiritual plane.
Y este mundo material quedará atrás para que entremos al mundo espiritual, al mundo eterno.
And there is also a dynamic spiritual world. The spiritual world doesn't mean merging into a white light of nothingness.
Y ahí también, en el plano espiritual, es un mundo dinámico, no es que entraremos a un mundo blanco donde es pura iluminación.
So as there is material form, there is also spiritual form.
Así como hay formas materiales, también hay formas espirituales.
Okay. And then the third question was, how do you mourn in your religion? How do you mourn for people who have died?
Mourn? What that means?
Mourn, can someone, Rasarji, can you say that, what was the word? Oh, it was duelo, right?
Duelo.
Oh, yeah.
Sí.
Okay. ¿Cuál es el proceso de duelo en nuestra religión?
Well, you see, the perspective is very different because we believe that there is no final death. So it is a different perspective.
La perspectiva es muy diferente porque nosotros entendemos que no hay una muerte real.
And the more that we perceive the presence of the eternal spirit, the less we will be affected by death.
Excuse me, can you?
The more that we can perceive, that we can connect with the plane of spirit and see the presence of spirit everywhere, the less we will be affected by death.
Y entre más podamos cultivar nuestra visión de que todo está, que el espíritu, el alma está en todas partes, lo menos que vamos a batallar o sufrir ese duelo.
And we saw with our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, death didn't mean anything to him.
Y lo vimos
Sorry, go ahead.
Srila Govinda Maharaj, que la muerte para él no significaba nada.
You know, like when we hear that somebody dies and we're crying, we're very sad, you know, we're very depressed.
Cuando escuchamos que alguien muere, nosotros lloramos y nos ponemos en términos de depresión.
But our Gurudev was very detached, you know, when he heard the news that somebody, it was like for him, like we hear in Bhagavad Gita, you change your clothes. You know, you're wearing an old pair of clothes, you take them off, you put on a new pair of clothes. That was like our Gurudev's response. It is just moving from one room to another room.
En Srila Govinda Maharaj vimos que para él parecía como, o entendía que veía la muerte como que estaba pasando, cambiando de ropa, como que ya estaba usando esta ropa, ahora va a usar esta otra ropa, que está pasando de un cuerpo a otro, no le afectaba mucho.
And there were a few occasions I know of when he said, this is happy news, because he said they were moving forward in their spiritual path. They were going towards Krishna. So he said, this is happy news. They're leaving behind the suffering of this world and they're going to live in the eternal world. This is happy.
Y en ciertas ocasiones incluso llegó a decir que esas eran buenas noticias, que eran noticias felices porque había dejado este cuerpo y había pasado al siguiente cuerpo espiritual, que había dejado ya este mundo de sufrimiento para pasar a la morada eterna.
So it is a very different perspective. With spiritual consciousness, you see death in a completely different way.
Y así entendemos que con una perspectiva, una conciencia espiritual, vemos la muerte desde otro punto.
And I've also experienced with some of the devotees, the members in our community, when they've left the world, the vibration is completely different from what you experience in the amongst general people in the world. It is a high vibration.
Y de hecho hemos visto cuando devotos parten de este mundo, que la energía, la vibración que se siente en la atmósfera con los devotos es muy alta, no es baja, sino que es muy alta, muy diferente, se vive.
No, just about 2 months ago, I was in London, and one very pious Indian devotee, she passed away, and I'm very good friends with her daughter, and I went to the hospital just like we got there maybe 1 hour after she left her body. We came a little late.
En London recientemente, hace un tiempo atrás, unas semanas, meses atrás, me tocó llegar al hospital justo cuando una devota de London era muy piadosa, estaba llegando y Vishakha dice que es muy buena amiga de la hija de la devota y estaban llegando al hospital justo unos momentos antes o después de que partiera.
And you know, I'm very bad with like blood and bodies, and you know, like I can't like I can't even watch like Harry Potter movies or Lord of the Rings because I get scared like with the monsters, and like I'm very like delicate in that way. So I was going to the hospital and I was feeling very anxious, like, oh, I don't want to see a dead body and deal with all these things. And I was feeling very a little stressed about it. I was like, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be strong.
Dice Vishakha que bueno, ella en realidad tiene un problema con todo esto de los cuerpos muertos, ver esas cosas, no puede ver películas de El Señor de los Anillos, de Harry Potter, porque siente que los monstruos le generan mucha ansiedad y todo esto, entonces iba al hospital con un poco ya de ansiedad, pensando, oh, no, ojalá no vea un cuerpo por aquí o algo.
Actually, I really admire like our friend Sam, who asked the question, he works at like a mortuary or something. He works with dead bodies every day. I have so much respect for people like you, and I admire you so much.
Dice, de hecho, nuestro amigo Sam que hizo las preguntas, él trabaja algo así en una morgue o un lugar donde tiene mucho contacto con cuerpos muertos y lo admiro que pueda hacer eso.
But so I arrived to the hospital feeling anxious, and then it was completely opposite to what I was expecting. The vibration was very high. You know, she was looking her face and her body were looking very bright, like effulgent, happy.
Así que yo iba con mucha ansiedad al hospital, deseando no ver algo que me generara más ansiedad y en realidad me encontré con todo lo contrario. Había una energía muy positiva, había una energía muy alta.
And then we sat and we did some chanting. We read from Bhagavad Gita, and I of course there was sadness, but I felt like it was a positive experience.
Y entonces nos sentamos, cantamos un poco, leímos el Bhagavad Gita y bueno, en realidad era un poco triste, pero no era muy pesado.
Here in in this temple where I am now in California, last year, one devotee, Sureshwari, very great devotee, gave her whole life for service. She passed away last year, and she died. She left her body in such a beautiful way. She had a room right next to the deities where these forms of the Lord are worshipped, right next there. And so when she passed away, they took her body right in front of the deities, and everybody came, all the devotees came, they did chanting. I saw some photographs, and she was smiling when she left her body, and she looked so bright and happy when she was leaving her body.
Apenas el año pasado tuvimos la partida de una devota que toda su vida la dedicó al servicio, y Sureshwari, y ella Sureshwari estaba en un cuarto justo al lado del cuarto de las deidades, y todo fue muy hermoso. De hecho, cuando dejó el cuerpo, la presentaron frente a las deidades, llevaron el cuerpo a las deidades y muchos devotos vinieron, estaba el kirtan, y que después vi unas fotos y ella se miraba como sonriendo cuando dejó el cuerpo. Un humor muy diferente.
And a few days later, they had a funeral, some kind of a funeral, and devotees were talking about her, remembering her.
Y unos días después tuvieron un tipo de funeral donde los devotos estaban hablando sobre ella.
And then afterwards, a few of the devotees, they went for a walk on the beach.
Y después de eso, algunos devotos fueron a tener una caminata en la playa.
And they were looking so happy, remembering this wonderful devotee, Sureshwari, that there was a stranger who was walking on the beach who saw them and was so impressed. They walked up to the devotees. I believe Devi Dasi was there and a few others. And the stranger saw them and walked up to them and said, "Oh, you all look so happy and joyful. Did something very special happen to you?" They just came from a funeral.
So sweet, I'm sorry. And this is so sweet, Vishakha. It's incredible because I was thinking about her and I was smiling just.
Oh, really?
It's incredible. She's very sweet. Entonces, los devotos fueron a la playa y estaban caminando y estaban todos recordándola, platicando de ella justo después de la ceremonia. Y estaban todos tan felices y se miraban con una energía tan buena que incluso un extraño estaba pasando por ahí y los vio, y él se acercó y les dijo: "Oh, ustedes se ven todos tan felices, se siente una buena energía con ustedes. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Les pasó algo muy lindo?"
And they're like, "We just came from a funeral." You know, anywhere else, sorry.
Y ellos dijeron: "No, de hecho venimos directo de un funeral."
You know, like in the ordinary world, after a funeral, everyone's very depressed, everyone's crying. It's a completely different experience from spiritual perspective.
Ajá, en una perspectiva occidental, materialista, siempre después de un funeral todo es muy triste, todos están muy tristes, muy callados.
You know, generally in the Hindu religion, in the traditional Vedic Hindu religions, there are different procedures, different practices. There is a mourning period, and there are different practices that are followed and different rituals that are followed during that time.
Incluso en una perspectiva hindú, por decirlo, hay muchas tradiciones diferentes donde llevan diferentes procedimientos y rituales a la hora de pasar estos duelos.
You know, like, for example, there will be some type of fasting, some type of austerity that will be followed for some time. And
habrá algún tipo de ayunos, por ejemplo, algún tipo de ¿cómo se dice? Penitencias por algún tiempo de estar pasando.
And there are also these fire sacrifices where offerings are made to help souls in their afterlife.
O también se hace algún tipo de sacrificio con fuego, que se ofrecen cosas en ellos tratando de beneficiar al alma que parte.
But we are following the line of what is called Vaishnavism. And in Vaishnavism, things are kept more simple. We are dealing more with the essence of things.
Pero nosotros estamos siguiendo una línea que es el Vaishnavismo. Y en el Vaishnavismo las cosas son más sencillas. Nos enfocamos en el aspecto, en la sustancia de las cosas.
You know, one thing that we often do is we will have some festival where we will make special offerings that we offer to the Lord and to the devotees in the name of the person who passed to help them. You know, we are serving the Lord and serving the devotees in their name, just distributing some nice food, nice prasad, blessed food. Then in their name, then some benefit will go to them. So we often do this to help the departed souls.
Lo que sí hacemos es que después de un tiempo hay un festival que se hace en el nombre del fallecido con la intención de ayudarle, donde se cocina y se sirve para las deidades, para Gurudev, para los devotos, con todo en el nombre del fallecido, con la intención de que ese crédito él lo tenga y se beneficie.
But even that is not always necessary.
Y aún así, tampoco eso es necesario.
There was one man who he went to spend some time in India, in our temple in India, and there was some accident or something that happened, or he got ill very, very suddenly, and he died while he was there. He was like a young man. It was very unexpected, but then he died unexpectedly in our temple in India.
Hubo un caso donde un hombre joven estaba de visita ahí en India y se enfermó y todo fue muy rápido y de pronto, sorpresivamente falleció ahí en el templo en India.
And somebody mentioned, oh, maybe we can do some ceremony for him. We can make some offering for his benefits.
Y alguien dijo, a lo mejor podemos hacer una ceremonia o algo para él, hacer unas ofrendas para su beneficio.
And our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, said he came here into the holy dham, to the Lord's place, the holy land. He was doing full service for the Lord and the devotees. He didn't commit any offenses. He was here with sincerity, and then he passed here. Like what more is necessary? It's already perfect.
Claro. Y Gurudev mismo dijo, bueno, él vino aquí a hacer servicio, estuvo haciendo servicio, estuvo muy ocupado en el Santo Dham, en las tierras sagradas. No cometió ninguna ofensa y de pronto falleció. ¿Qué más podría pedir positivo para esa alma?
So in Vaishnavism, it is very simple, you know, the focus is on cultivating a loving relationship with Krishna, with God. And so many formalities, you know, they're not required.
Así que en el Vaishnavismo todo es más sencillo. Nos enfocamos en cultivar nuestra relación de amor con el Señor, con Krishna, y tanta formalidad no es necesaria.
Ganga Lila, what wasn't clear to you? Sorry, the story?
Oh, the one before, just I don't know. I didn't understand it.
Oh, you mean about the man who passed away in
Yes.
Navadvip?
Yes.
So no, because normally we do like what's called a Shraddha ceremony. Like we do a very simple kind of Shraddha, not the traditional Vedic Shraddha. We do something simple where we take the deity's prasad and we offer it to a picture of the departed soul. You know, the idea being that, you know, they would get that in the afterlife, that Mahaprasad from the deity. And then, you know, they'll get some blessing and some mantras are chanted and like that. And so when this man, he died, and now he was a Westerner, he was from Hawaii, I believe. Devi Shakti was there at the time. And he passed away very unexpectedly in Navadvip, in our temple. And so somebody mentioned to our Gurudev, oh, should we have a Shraddha ceremony for him? And our Gurudev said, you know, he came to Navadvip Dham, he was doing full seva with full sincerity, without committing any offenses. And what more does he need? We don't need to do anything more for him. You know, like it's already perfect.
So it is perfect service to do like a pilgrimage to Navadvip. That's like a perfect service.
No, that's not the point. You know, I mean,
I guess I'm still lost about the point. I'm sorry.
No, well, because the point is that these Shraddha ceremonies, they're done to help the souls in their afterlife. But
and his spot was already basically secured in the afterlife. He didn't need any worrying about.
Exactly, like Gurudev saying, he's okay.
Oh, so it had nothing to do with any rituals. Oh, okay, because I was thinking I'm missing some point of what was offered. What did that do? So nothing would actually uplift more than just the fact that he left his body there.
No, it wasn't the fact that he left there necessarily, but it's just that his mood was perfect. He was doing service, you know, and yes, he's in the Dham, but not that we should all think, oh, let me try and calculate so I die in Navadvip, you know, but it happened like that spontaneously. And he had the perfect mood of service. So just all of these factors combined, it was all very auspicious, and there was nothing more that needed to be done. Like, he's already in such a good place, but we don't need to do anything more to help him. No.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That makes sense now?
Yes, that makes no sense. I don't know. I got twisted up in my mind. I really heard something else. So thank you so much.
Okay. And in fact, if you want more details on that, Devi Shakti asked him, you know, where did he go? You know, and our Gurudev, you know, a few times in different cases, devotees would ask our Gurudev, where did this person go? And in this case, and he gave different answers. And in this case, our Gurudev said that first he went to the heavenly planets to finish his material enjoyment, because he still had some desires for material enjoyment. So our Gurudev said, first he's going there to finish those desires, and then from there he will continue going up. That was what he said, yeah.
Do we need to take time for the Espanol?
Oh, it's okay. We don't need to translate that part. Okay. It's okay.
Wow, that is a really good story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Very, very cool. And going back to our Spanish friend, and there are some final thoughts I wanted to add. I wanted to add finally, so going back to our translator, Nanda Prabhu, that, you know, mourning in the heart, you know, we are human. We don't pretend, you know, I'm not, we mentioned our Gurudev, that he was very detached from death. We don't pretend that we are like that. We are affected by death. So yes, internally we go through some mourning.
Así que quería agregar algo en relación a esas ideas, que finalmente nosotros somos humanos, nosotros no tenemos esa realización de la que hablamos de Gurudev. No vamos a pretender que, oh, no, yo no me afecto por nada, ¿verdad? Igual nosotros en nuestro proceso podemos vernos afectados y está bien.
No, it is, but we do so with that perspective that they're not exactly dead. They simply moved on to another chapter in their journey.
¿No? Nada más podemos agregar a nuestra perspectiva que, bueno, en realidad no ha muerto, sino se ha movido a otro capítulo en su vida.
Okay, I think that's all. Does anyone else want to add anything to that discussion?
I mean, I could
Just
oh, go ahead. You go ahead, Govinda.
just a small note. Sam, he studies medicine, and those questions, they emerged due to his taking classes in this department of thanatology that studies all the aspects of death, sociological, psychological, And that's why he sent you these questions.
Did he send you a message too?
No, I went to Google and I Googled thanatology, and then I could understand better his question.
Oh, I see.
Oh, Vishakha, you know, I was wondering why, because these questions, we have a relation in the university here in Baja California University, which is for the States.
Oh,
and
he
they,
lives in Baja California. Sam Orayas. Maybe you know him.
oh, maybe he's the one who sent these questions to our inbox in our web, in our Seva Ashram from Tijuana page.
Oh.
They send it, and then I said, yes, let me know if you want to come and we can answer, because it's writing, it's not same, right? So I was trying to invite to here to have these answers, but I didn't know. When I just came in and I saw those questions, I thought, what? Did they extend it here? How they get here? Is him?
It must be. His name is Sam Orayas. That's so funny, because in Ananga Krishna, you don't come so often to this meeting, and you just happen to come today. You're translating, and that's so funny. So now we're both. So maybe you want to add something extra for
No,
Sam.
it's perfect. It's perfect. I think
That's
it's perfect. I just can add if he can come to the ashram here,
Please,
we will be happy.
And you can meet Ananga Krishna Prabhu, a very wonderful devotee, and Jai Balai Prabhu, another one. Many wonderful devotees are there. Please go and have very nice prasadam.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, we'll come to you in just a minute, Radhana Rupini. Ananga, you can finish what you were going to say, and Chintamani.
I just want to say that about this subject of people always, because we have this relation with the university, because some teacher there from thanatology also, they invite us from years behind. I think you participate in one, but maybe you don't remember this classroom for medicine or different psychologists also, because they have this how do you say, this class of thanatology, and they invite us, we chant, we give, but now they are like, you know, they talk about us and they come with the questions which we are very happy to receive them. So I was just wanted to say that.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
Well, it's so cool that you came today, Ananga. Actually, he asked this question like a month ago, and I forgot about it, and I just remembered today. So it's amazing you came today also. Amazing. Chintam, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I just wanted to see if Jayadeva was available, because I've had a lot of you know my story about my run-ins with death in my previous life, and I just wanted to, one of the most amazing death energy workers, and is Jayadeva Das here, and I don't know if he's available, if he's at work, to share any reflections to share. He might not be available.
I will come to you, Radhana Rupini. I'm just wrapping this up, discussion about death. We will get to you.
I'm not really sure what to I mean, that would be a whole meeting maybe or something, but I think I felt like everything Vishakha said was complete. I don't have anything more than that to say.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we dealt with like the spiritual perspective, but then on the human side, no doubt there are many more things that could be said, but maybe for another day. Okay, Radhana Rupini Didi, please let's hear from you.
Dandavats. I wanted to ask you a question. You know, I worked in the medical field for 25 years, and many times I've gone to the morgue with bodies in the morgue. Wow. Old bodies, young bodies, and for the last 18 years of my working career, babies. Oh, because I worked in the maternity. Anyway, and I would always feel the energy in that morgue. And a lot of times, like they say, the soul still hovers around the body. You can feel it. And a few times I've figured out the cause of deaths of certain people because they were tragic. But anyway, my question is, when I was working with elderly people that were leaving this world, they would go through a stage of what's called actively dying. So like when people slowly die of cancer or any kind of disease or just basic old age, Alzheimer's, all these kinds, not sudden, but slowly, it's called actively dying. And so there's signs of actively dying, like the urine turns a certain color, this flesh turns a certain color, there's blotching, there's certain breathing patterns, there's many different things, signs where you can tell they're going to leave. And I've experienced in taking care of people in general public, that I would say 99% of the time, they would tell me, oh, I'm talking to my grandmother, or my husband's here, he finally came. Or, people that have gone before them come to see them. And even my own father, who I slept in a cot in his room in a nursing house for the last 4 nights of his life. I slept there. I came to California and took care of him. When I went to take a shower somewhere else and I came home, he told me that, I said, why are you giving them trouble? You're not taking your teeth out, And he said to me, oh, I'm speaking to this certain individual, and it's really hard to speak without your teeth. But that individual had passed 2 years ago. So it's like, why does, I always read it's either Yamadutes, the Vishnu Dutas, the Yamadutas and the Vishnu Dutas. There was one death in a nursing home that I did not experience, but my friend did. And she was pale as a ghost when it was all finished, because everything she described to me was 100% the Yamadutes had come to get him, because he was screaming, saying what they looked like. He heard the chains. There were witches there. He saw the whole thing, and he was all the way to the last breath. He was screaming. He didn't want to go. But anyway, so I don't understand, like, where does that fit in when they see other people? And it's always a sign that they're going. They're going when other people that have gone before them are coming.
You're saying that you've experienced a few times that persons on the way out, they see persons who already passed on.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like they're coming to get them. That's always their message to me, like, oh, they're here to help me find the way, or something like this. And it's always been something I've thought about, like, why is that? Where does that fit in? Because I've always read it's like Vishnu Dut, Yama Dut,
Jaydev, did you want to say something?
I can chime in. You could consider it, maybe it's other cultures related to Hinduism where death is a big focus, in Egyptian culture and in the Tibetan culture, where Hinduism was merged and Buddhism was merged with shamanic cultures, where people are trained their whole life how to die. Anyways, both of those traditions separately acknowledge a realm called the Bardo realm, where the soul between bodies goes into a place that's timeless. It's not in our 3D world construct. It's not quite the material world, it's a subtle realm. And in the subtle realm, there's no time. So if you think about it, we're in this realm of time. And when a person leaves this world, they're in a timeless realm for a while before they reincarnate. So to keep it short, theoretically, while the person's in the Bardo realm, they could interact with someone in our future, even though, how do I explain this? Let's say I die. Chintamani's around. I'm in that timeless space. I'm interacting with her as an old woman because I'm not in time. She's in time. So when I'm in that timeless space, I'm there for her whole life. I don't know if that makes sense. So you can have, I've experienced and perceived, and you could say speculate, that even though someone has already left and already gone to their next body, you can actually relate to them for all of your life, because that time that they were available in that intermediate realm, that liminal realm, it was timeless. So from any point in time, you can interact with someone in that timeless state. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's why people will pray to the ancestors in a lot of traditions, not because the ancestors are still around. They're not just floating up in some heaven there to help them. They're in that Bardo realm, interfacing to some extent or another with this realm. I don't know if that helps, but that's an explanation based on some other cultures.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, what I was thinking of is this, we hear about this plane called Pitraloka, which is, you know, connected with the moon, but not this moon. different moon, connected with the mental plane.
Chandramukhi. Chandra.
Okay.
The real Chandra.
Chandraloka, let's say.
Chandraloka, yeah.
So we hear that there's this plane that departed souls, they wander for some time before they move on to their birth. And I, you know, actually you reminded me of one very interesting story that I heard from an old sannyas disciple, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Because you mentioned that there's this mood of them coming to get them. So this
showing them the way.
Oh, you mean like showing them the way, not coming to get them in a negative sense, but like,
yeah, not coming to get them in a
Okay,
negative sense.
I see. Okay, but I'll share this story. It is somewhat related. That this one sannyasi, he's from Venezuela, and he was a sannyasi, not anymore. He lives in Florida now. I met him a couple of years ago. That he was quite young, and he was persistently getting this cancer, some type of cancer on his body. He had it removed. It came back. It happened a couple of times, and anyway, he's in our mat in Navadvip, and he kept having this dream of some of his grandparents coming to him in his dream and trying to tell him something. And he asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj about it one day. Oh, I'm having this dream. You know, these relatives, they keep coming to me. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked him, do you have any type of illness, terminal illness? And he said, oh, actually, I've had this cancer that keeps coming back. And maybe Rasaraj, who knows this devotee, he goes by the Kavi, and his name was, I think, Shanta Maharaj or something before. But anyway, so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, oh, do you have any type of terminal illness? And this devotee said, oh, yes. He was very surprised. Yes, there's this cancer that keeps coming. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he told him something like, terminal illnesses, they're a result of some unresolved issues with your ancestors. And he told him to do some special Shraddha ceremony and to give offering, give some prasad to the ancestors. And then he had to do it a few times. And then eventually he had a dream where they came to him and said, oh, we're satisfied now. And then the illness, the cancer, it cleared up. It didn't bother him anymore. But you know, we see that, yeah, there's some period of time where these departed souls, they're still somehow connected with their previous identification, their previous experience, and they can have some type of contact in a subtle way with persons of this world. So, you know, I don't know the proper answer, but these are just some things I've heard, which are somehow.
Yeah, one time there was this one very difficult woman I was taking care of at the nursing home, and many, many years ago. That's where I started, was a nursing home. And she was on her deathbed. She had chose not to have dialysis anymore. And when I walked in, I asked her, how do you feel? And she goes, you know, I'm dying. And I go, yes, I do. Then she starts to speak Japanese, and I'm the only person in the room. And then she stops speaking, and then she says to me, oh, my friends and I, and all of a sudden all the hairs on my body stood on end. And he goes, my friends and I want to give you, they're telling me that I should give you something because you were so good to me and you took such good care of me and you were so patient with me, and you know, I want to give you some money. I'm going to tell my son to come bring money for you tonight. And I said, oh, thank you so much. But, I can't accept that. I need my job. And, I have my children and I need to keep my job. She goes, okay. She starts to speak Japanese again. And then she goes, oh, we found something else. I have a vase. I go, oh, but that sounds like something you should give your granddaughter. If I'm not mistaken, you have a granddaughter. Then she speaks Japanese again. She goes, oh, this thing you cannot refuse. And I go, okay. And because she wanted to, before she passed, she wanted to make sure that she reciprocated with all my care that I had given her. She felt like I was really a good caregiver. So she goes, me and my two friends and I, meaning there were two Japanese ladies that I could not see in the room, but they were there, are going to come and get you when it's your turn. And I had to agree. And I said, okay, if you guys want to do that, that's fine. And then she gave me something,
Wow.
So I thought, well, if I see something happens and all of a sudden I see three Japanese women I know. But also I helped a really, really, really good God sister of mine, Mangala, pass away. And I just wanted to say that I was on her one side of her bed. And when I could detect the breathing was at a point where she might be going, I stuck a tulsi. At first I told her daughter to put the Ganges water in her mouth, a drop, and she did. And then I stuck the tulsi leaf right on her tongue. And right as I put that tulsi leaf in her tongue, her soul left through the mouth. I felt her leave through her mouth. And then I just looked at her daughter and I looked at her and I felt her pulse and she was gone. She had gone, but she left very auspiciously through the mouth.
Wow. Nice.
It's amazing because it was like a wind. It was like a little wind coming out of the mouth.
Wow.
And I felt that. It says, bye, Hare Krishna. And there was a huge kirtan. She had a huge family and they were all in kirtan and there was a huge kirtan.
Wow.
So, one thing for me is like, sometimes I feel so isolated. My prayer is to be around devotees.
Thank you so much for sharing, Radhana Rupini. Very, very special to hear all of that. Well, thank you all so much for being here today and sharing, and wishing you all a joyful week and Krishna consciousness ahead, and look forward to next time.
Thank you so much, Vishakha. What a perfect day. Besides Chintamani's birthday, it is also a new moon and we had a solar eclipse. So it's like it's perfect to have like a more, more gripping kind of like understanding their shadow also,
It's Scorpio season.
New moon in Scorpio. Yeah, we're going to real today.
Yeah, right.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai. Jai. Shri Bhakti Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Sincere seekers ki Jai. Shri Harinam Jai. And thank you, Gangalila, for sharing that, and all of you who shared Radhana Rupini and Rasaraj Prabhu and Ananga Krishna for translating, and all of you for joining, Govinda Dandini for hosting. And Marie also shared in our chat the experience she had too. I think Jayadev also shared very nicely today. Okay, see you all next time. Haribol.
Haribol.
You guys.
Vishakha, thank you.
Vishakha DDG.
Jai.
Jai.